Hello, I am so glad you came to join us again. You must have liked our 4 previous recipes, or you probably would not have come back. But anyway, welcome to our next seasonal, if you want to call it that, plant-based, or if you want to call it vegan, cooking demonstration. Since we are coming up to the holidays, and by the time you see this, I think it's going to be just a week or so until Thanksgiving, my cooking crew, oh no, that would be me. I'm working on getting a cookie. Anyway, that's beside the point. Decided to do a breakfast that's pumpkin. The recipe I found is totally non-dairy. You don't even have to go, well, how do I leave out the eggs? Because if you look at a lot of recipes that are a cake type, there's eggs in it. You got to figure out what to use for and not use the eggs. So what I found was a pumpkin coffee cake pecan crumble. If you are one of the people that doesn't drink coffee, you could call it pumpkin tea or pumpkin postum for those of us who have been around for a while, or just coffee cake to go for breakfast. So here we go. Going to start out with about 1.5 cups of flour. This is just basic white flour. If you want to make it gluten-free, you could probably use almond. The recipe didn't specifically say that, but for those of you who are gluten-free, you could probably use almond flour or your other baking mixes. But anyway, 1.5 cups of flour. And then the recipe said to use 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. Well, I just decided to try something different, and so I got coconut sugar. It's supposed to be healthier, and to powder it, I put it in the blender for a bit. So it's kind of powdered, and it's about 1/2 cup of powdered coconut sugar. I know it's brown, but this is going to end up being brown anyway. And then we need some baking powder, baking soda, and salt to help it rise. Couple teaspoons of cinnamon. I didn't have any pumpkin pie spice. A lot of people like to use that instead, which I think is a combination of nutmeg and whatnot. But I just use cinnamon. And since it is pecans, there is 1/2 cup of chopped pecans right here, or pecans, however you say it. Depends on what part of the country you're from, I suppose. And we're going to mix that up nicely. Stir it all together. And then our liquid in here, I've got 1 cup of pumpkin puree, the canned pumpkin. 1/2 cup of soy milk. You could probably use almond milk. You could probably use coconut milk, your choice. Maybe even oat milk, but anyway, a non-dairy milk. Also in here is some oil, and a little bit of lemon juice, and some vanilla. Stir it up just a little bit because it will mix better. Not make quite so much of a mess. And the recipe said to stir this into the dry ingredients, mix it partly, and then let it set for a couple minutes. So that's what we'll do, and you'll see why in a minute. So here we go. Stir it up. One thing about recipes I have found, some people can't do it. Some people have to follow the recipe exactly. Or if you're a little bit creative, you can change it out. Like I put in strictly cinnamon instead of the pumpkin pie seasoning. I used coconut sugar instead of regular white sugar. Instead of the vanilla, maybe put maple syrup. So there's just all sorts of ways you could change out the flavor of this. Okay, stir this up. Okay, I'm going to set that aside so it can set just for a minute. And then the streusel that goes on top. It's what makes it extra good. Okay, in here I've got a little bit of white flour and some coconut sugar. And I also said to put regular sugar. I don't know why you would put coconut sugar and regular sugar. I didn't put the regular in here. More pecans, more cinnamon, salt, and then it says to use coconut oil. I didn't have any coconut oil available, so I'm just using regular oil. A couple tablespoons. Mix it together. If I was home, I'd use my fingers, but I won't do that on video. You know, this needs just a little bit more oil, but we'll make it work. Mix it well. Okay, now we're ready for the pan. Just a basic 8x8. You could use square, round, whatever you want to use. Stir this up just a little bit more because we've got a little bit of whiteness showing in there, and we want it all to be nice and dark, or kind of orange color. Pour it in. Well, I got to spoon it in. It's a little too thick to say you've got to pour it. And you can see this is a really easy recipe. It really doesn't take long to put together. So it's one of those, maybe Sunday morning of Thanksgiving, you're going, what could we do that's pumpkin? Because we've had pumpkin pie, but we want something different. Well, this would be good. That way you can stick with the pumpkin theme that most people stick with for Thanksgiving time. All right, spread it out so it goes to all four corners. Good to the last little bit. Okay, here's, whoops, it slides because the pan is greased. Now I'm going to use my fingers. Crumble this on top. One thing about this recipe, it said that you could make muffins, of which I would probably do, just because I like doing muffins. Fill your muffin tins about 2/3 full, put the crumbles on top, and bake it in the oven. This is to bake for about 40-45 minutes. Muffins you would do more like 25 to 30. So that would be something else to try, would be make it into muffins. So there is our product ready to be put into the oven. Pumpkin coffee cake with pecan crumble. Can't turn it too much because it moves, but hold on, I'll show you what it looks like. Ah, it's warm. Okay, here's our finished product. You don't have to bake it quite as brown. I wasn't sure about this oven, and it baked about 5 minutes too long. And I'm going to cut it. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Okay. And there we have it. It makes 9 pieces, or unless you want to cut it into more. But there is the finished product of the pumpkin crumble coffee cake. I hope you make one. Let us know how it goes. Put it on Facebook or YouTube when you have made one and give us your opinion. Thank you.